Think of the ocean, and your mind likely goes straight to a coral reef, crowded with color and life. But the strangest performance underwater takes place nowhere near a reef. It happens on a flat, gray desert of silt. This is the open mud of river mouths and estuaries, stretching across the tropical waters of the Indo-Pacific. It is a shallow, featureless world, washed down from the land above. On a typical reef, an animal under threat can press itself into a crevice or vanish against a sponge. Out here, there is nothing but the sand. There is absolutely nowhere to hide. For a soft-bodied animal, this kind of exposure is usually fatal. The creature that lives here has no armor. It has no shell to pull back into, and no venom of its own to ward off a strike. An animal stranded on this open plain faces a strict binary choice. It can be eaten, or it can convince every passing predator that trying to eat it would be a terrible mistake. The animal that solved this problem is so well adapted to the emptiness that human divers did not even realize it existed until 1998 off the coast of Indonesia. The barren mud is the exact reason the mimic octopus exists. The sheer brutality of an environment with no cover forced a fragile creature to use its own flesh to stage an endless sequence of illusions. A defenseless animal surviving here starts by manipulating its own. The mimic octopus can alter its entire physical appearance at blinding speed. Like all cephalopods, its skin is packed with millions of tiny pockets of pigment called chromatophores. Each individual sac of color is wrapped in a microscopic ring of muscle. This diagram compares a chameleon's slow chemical loop against the octopus's direct electrical pathway. Every pigment cell is wired straight to its nervous system, commanded just like you command your hand. Shifts happen in milliseconds, painting patterns before a conscious thought even finishes forming. The skin does not solely wait for orders from the brain. It gathers information on its own. The entire surface of the octopus is embedded with its own light-sensitive cells. Every patch of the animal's body reads the brightness and shade directly around it, reacting instantly to shifting light and bypassing the central brain completely. The brain sets an intention, and the local tissues fill in the immediate details. The intelligence is distributed across the entire animal. The creature literally thinks with its own flesh. Merely shifting to a muddy brown might hide an animal, but against a determined hunter on an open plain, color is not enough. The octopus survives by borrowing shape, movement, and posture. Biologists call this Batesian mimicry. A completely harmless animal deters predators by adopting the exact appearance of a highly toxic species, entirely bypassing the need to produce its own venom. When crossing open ground, the octopus draws its arms together, flattens itself into a thin oval, and ripples just above the sand to replicate the exact swimming motion of a toxic flatfish, like a sole. If a threat approaches while it is suspended in the water column, it flares all 8 arms outward, holding them stiff and banded to recreate the unmistakable silhouette and fan of venomous spines of a drifting lionfish. Cornered near a burrow, the animal plunges 6 of its arms down into the sand, leaving only 2 exposed. It slowly undulates these 2 black and white striped limbs in opposite directions along the seafloor to impersonate a highly lethal banded sea snake. Researchers have now recorded this single species adopting the forms of more than 15 different local animals, sprawling into brittle stars, hunching like giant crabs, and even matching the aggressive posture of a striking mantis shrimp. This dynamic mimicry succeeds because the octopus does not strike a static pose. It perfectly plagiarizes the swimming rhythm and behavior of animals that local predators have spent countless generations learning to avoid. All of this raises a mechanical question. When a predator approaches, is the octopus simply cycling blindly through its disguises in a panic, or is it making an active choice? In 2001, scientists published detailed observations of how the mimic octopus reacts when harassed by different species on the mudflats. They watched as the soft-bodied octopus was repeatedly bullied and chased by damselfish, a highly aggressive territorial species quick to bite any intruder. Under assault from these specific fish, the octopus did not become a flatfish or a crab. It consistently plunged into the sand and transformed into the banded sea snake. This logic tree maps the relationship behind that precise response. Banded sea snakes are the natural predators that hunt and consume damselfish. The octopus observes the physical identity of its attacker, processes that visual information, and then pulls from its catalog the one specific predator that its harasser fears the most. Out in the open with absolutely no physical defenses, this animal relies entirely on observation to engage in targeted psychological warfare. For all the biological precision of the chromatophores, the animal's physical impersonation does not actually need to be flawless to keep it alive. The illusion only needs to be good enough to sow a fraction of doubt. A predator that pauses for a single heartbeat to figure out if it is looking at a meal or a venomous threat gives the octopus the one thing it needs: time to slip away. Our understanding of this creature is incredibly recent. Humanity documented the telescopic rings of Saturn centuries before a diver with a camera finally recorded the mimic octopus on our own seafloor. Biologists are still working to figure out exactly how the animal accomplishes this. We do not fully know where its hardwired genetic instincts end and where conscious judgment begins. The harshest, most desolate environments on Earth do not merely leave animals vulnerable. The absolute emptiness of the mudflat forced a fragile, boneless body to develop a profound intelligence, surviving by borrowing the terrors of the world around it.